I did want to talk about some good news in nuclear energy. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about a bunch of good news in nuclear energy that have sort of hit all at once. The two big stories were Denmark lifted a 40-year ban on nuclear power. They've had a total ban on it, and the vote was overwhelming. They are now exploring nuclear solutions, which is awesome, using the new SMR technology that could fit for Denmark. Because they also had a party, similar to that in Germany that was anti-nuclear, and they have lost favor. And so they're now opening to nuclear. And then even in Germany has been a big opposition to EU nuclear power, and they dropped that opposition. So now there's no anti-nuclear bias in EU legislation, which is a huge win for France and their big nuclear program and their ability to build. So that's fucking awesome too. This is pretty big. I saw this pretty good guy. This guy, Mark Nelson, was commenting on it, but as I've mentioned, this is emissions per electricity. This is France. This is Germany. At some point, you got to wave the white flag, bro. This is working. This has just worked. France is incredible. It's truly incredible. And they have energy security, and they're so far in the lead. And so people are starting to take a notice. And it's kind of urgent for other countries to pick it up in terms of building more, however they do it, but they need to build more capacity, because right now, a lot of countries, Germany included, do import electricity from other EU countries, specifically France, which has excess capacity. But France is now, Macron has been warning of this. He's like, hey, we're not going to have excess capacity for a long time. We're going to use our extra energy. So you have to kind of get your own. And here it is. This is in German, but I can translate it for you. France is building new data centers. Huge AI, deep learning, and just general tech data centers that'll consume 4 gigawatts of power, which is a massive amount of power. And so this translation here is, Macron's been saying, France will not forever be the electricity backup for energy shortage economies. This is big. They're making their energy security an advantage. So that's also really cool to see. And then, some of the downside, like Spain just had a massive blackout. Look, Spain has really good renewables, but as I've mentioned, I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but there's this concept of inertia that you need on your grid to keep the frequency stable. And inertia comes from the stable baseload power sources like coal, natural gas, nuclear, I guess oil, or hydro. Hydro's another one. Hydro's one of them too. And Spain doesn't have those. And they've been shutting them down while expanding only solar. Well, recently, Spain had one of the biggest blackouts a developed countries ever had. And it was because of the inertia caused the grid to go down, because there was a spike in the frequency because extra solar, which again is a good thing, but they didn't have the inertia. They're decommissioning nuclear. They're shutting down gas. They're shutting down. So now, good news though, well, there's bad news first, is that they are now importing more Russian natural gas. They are now importing more Russian natural gas. Their grid operator is literally called Red Electronica, which is Electrica. That's the bad news. But the good news is they have paused and are in fact talking about stopping the decommissioning of their nuclear, which is good. Again, the best way to do it is a baseload nuclear plus renewables. And one last thing I want to mention, just to show you why I think this is so urgent. This is what ties it all together. Yeah, this, dude. So China just added 10 new nuclear power units for insanely cheaper costs. Again, as they build more nuclear, each power plant gets cheaper because they're getting better at it. One thing I want to say is this is all fun to argue about when no one else is doing it. But when geostrategic rivals and in Germany's case, industrial competitors are doing it, it becomes a real problem. If it becomes something you're not good at, they just get better and better and better at it, and it becomes far in the lead. All this talk about cost of nuclear is driven entirely by lawyer fees. It's driven by political turmoil. It's driven by inability to build. All the things you have to do to get it through. If you just actually cleanly build it, like Korea can build you a nuclear power plant easy. China's building them incredibly cheaply. And now they're getting so good, they're building a ton. And, in America, we're flatlining on it. America's still the #1 nuclear power in terms of nuclear energy, but we're flatlining. And China's up and to the right, dude. So it really is urgent that countries kind of wake up and see the incredible benefits to massive, stable, baseload power, completely emissions free. Yeah, they build them in less time too. It's crazy. So I'm not saying China #1. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, I wish it didn't have to be such an ideological thing to look at things that were working in other countries like China and steal them. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I think everything Xi Jinping is doing is great. It's just like, there are things they are clearly doing right that we're not stealing, that we should just copy. The idea that everything we're doing is correct is crazy. You know, this brings me back to trains, but like, they built an incredible network of high-speed rail across China. There's just no reason we couldn't do the same. We have the money. It's not a money issue. And so I wanted to bring all that stuff up, not as just like a gear of nuclear type thing, but like, there's been some real forward motion lately. Even just the past month, like a lot of political movement has been going towards getting nuclear working, because it has been remarkably effective on the whole in countries that are using it. In countries that are using it is successful, and it pairs incredibly well with renewables. It's like, it's so insane to me that there's people that are like pro-renewable, anti-nuclear. It's frustrating. It's like a weird line they drew that is self-defeating for both. I don't like it. Instead of thinking about copying present day China, we can think about it copying past United States. I unironically do that when I'm talking. Like when I talk about higher taxes or whether I always talk about past United States, because I want people to understand that like, it's not some crazy it's like, this worked in America. People in America were happy when we did this. It worked. It wasn't that radical. But for trains specifically, we never had, we did have networks of trains. We were the first to do it, really. Broad networks of trains. I mean, like, passenger trains, we haven't done it the way that China has. High-speed rail, we haven't done that. We should just steal that shit. You know, listen, if we can't build nuclear the way we used to, we should look at who's building it and how they're doing it. And the biggest and best examples are South Korea and China right now. They're the ones that can build a nuclear power plant at cost without huge budget overruns. And what they do is they have exact one design, and they say, this is what the land needs to look like, and this is what we're gonna build exactly. No modifications. This is it. And then they get really good at that one design, and they make it work, and they make it fit. That's the thing we should learn from. You say, only do it 10 cost? Well, again, I gotta tell you, a lot of the cost overruns come from the incredible legal battles you have to have. It's the same NIMBY stuff. People will sue to stop you from building it. In America, if you want to build a nuclear power plant, you have to budget millions for a PR campaign for the area because people will freak out. There's so many things you have to do that slow down the ability to even start to breaking ground. It's not like the construction costs are where all the cost is. Would you be better if they built a nuclear power plant half a mile is insanely close? I believe a nuclear power plant has to have a certain number of miles distance in general from anything. So no, but I live near the largest nuclear power plant in America in Arizona, and it was fine. There was literally no problem at all. My friend worked there. It was great. It was a good, well-paying job. There was no issues. I mean, maybe my hairline. Yeah, Palo Verde, dude. It wasn't a problem. It's not science fiction, dude. You don't turn into Spider-Man. Explains the fingers. I just think it is just a long-running scare tactic, long-running psyop for like incredible energy security and abundance, and the only proven way to increase energy output while drastically lowering emissions quickly. Countries that have done it have had this result. It's crazy. What about if everybody does stationary bikes? So you think instead of nuclear or gas or coal or solar, everyone gets a Peloton that is hooked up to the grid, and then we all pedal to charge it. Okay. Kind of like Black Mirror. Yeah. And I think Black Mirror is a show about things that we should do because they're good ideas, right? It's designed to show us things we should invest in. I think it would be a good idea if you could get paid to do that. So everybody wakes up and they Peloton for a few hours to power the grid for their town that day. And you also get paid. That's kind of, everyone's shredded, or you get a tax cut. Yeah. Every minute you spend on the bike, it shaves off of your taxes. So everyone's shredded, in good shape, and tax-free, and we have power for days. I think it would make Northern Lion too rich, though. I will buy a diesel generator to spin my bike pedals for me. Dude, imagine you get a electric pedaler and you plug it into the grid, so everybody else's pedals are pedaling your pedaler, and you're getting tax benefits. We broke the system. Was there anything else on nuclear I wanted to say? I actually is a bunch, but I'm not remembering it this second. Oh, I saw this article that was like, first of all, there is a nuclear boom proven just by increased heavy demand for uranium. It said our currently identified uranium resources are forecast to be used up by the 2080s. 2080s? That's a long time. But to be clear, this headline might be misleading. This does not mean the world runs out of uranium in the 2080s. That means the current uranium mines. There's actually many more deposits of uranium that are untapped, that have not been set up because there hasn't been that much demand, not enough demand to justify new mines. So what this article is saying is that people have to start creating new mines if they want to have more uranium by the 2080s. But mostly it's just to bring the price down. Obviously, 2080 is a insanely long time, but you got it, guys. You're going to start the uranium mine that's going to... Wait, this could tie into the Minecraft movie. Hold up. If we need more uranium mines and the Minecraft movie's popping, what if the second Minecraft movie's about how you should go to your backyard and dig up some uranium for your country? And we'll have like a chicken jockey mascot. And suddenly we get all of these unemployed younger Gen Z, older Gen Alphas out there digging. We'll give them a custom, like, you know, glowing pickaxe or something, diamond pickaxe. It's not actually diamond because we don't have the money for that, but it'll look like it. And they get out there and they dig. We get the country employed. We get more uranium. This is a fucking win. Isn't uranium just rocks? Dude showing up to the deliver his uranium and he just has 8 truckloads of rocks. I got the uranium you asked for, boss. Just got a whole bunch of rocks. Just picked up all the rocks I could see. What do you think about the metals company mining the seafloor and the environmental disaster that it'll do, Johnny Harris? I haven't seen the Johnny Harris video. I linked it to Aiden though, so he can watch it and tell me about it. I don't know if Aiden will watch it though, because he is now on his private yacht. Because Aiden's investment in the metals company, a deep sea rare earth mineral mining company, is now the highest performing stock in the entire history of this competition. It has now done absurd numbers, as China's rare earth metal ban sparks massive interest from the United States and other countries in investing in any company that can harvest rare earth minerals outside of China's sphere of influence. TMC is becoming the leading player in that space and has now become a massive success in this contest. You know, if this holds, could lead to Aiden winning the whole thing. I mean, fully tip of the cap. In a real world situation, if this was a hedge fund or something, having 20% growth in a time period where the S&P is down half a point, basically 21-point lead on the S&P, is massive $1 million Christmas bonus. That's like you know what I'm saying? He would cash out here. He would go to the Caymans. He'd have the whole rest of the year off and he'd have infinite money. You get paid gazillions. Now, in the real world, you have to do it again and again and again. You can't just do it for 1 year, but that's a successful portfolio. It's crazy. You just hit it big on this. Lud would get fired. Lud would get fired. That is true. Lud would get fired. At first, it was just Trump coin that was bringing him down, but he also invested in United Health. United Health is tanking. It's crazy that their CEO got shot, their stock went up, but then they get outed for Medicare fraud, and that's when that starts tanking. Although it could be a chain of events. I mean, you could give Luigi some credit here in that first CEO is shot and killed. They replaced with a second CEO who's not good at keeping the bodies buried. The new CEO was not as good at keeping the skeletons in the closet. That starts to get out. UNH stock starts to tank. They replaced that CEO. He got fired quick. They brought back the old CEO from before the guy that got shot, who knows how to smooth things over, trying to rebalance the ship. Why is Oxy so bad? You mean OxyContin? It's bad for you. You mean Occidental Petroleum? Most oil companies are doing pretty poorly because the price of oil is in the gutter. And oil companies make all their profits when the price is high. They basically run flat for the majority of the time and then make all of their profits in windfalls when the price spikes. And the price has been way down. So yeah, Saudi Arabia sweating, Russia's sweating, Venezuela's sweating. All these petrostates outside of Norway, I guess, which has diversified, but all these petrostates are in a tough spot if the oil price stays so low, because it's where all their revenue comes from. Will it not recover? I mean, it cycles, right? Eventually it'll be expensive, but right now they have to sell it. They have to make money. Why is oil so low despite the instability in the Arab region? Dude, I've been looking at this. I don't have a great answer for you. There's a lot of reasons, including like new technology that has enabled overproduction, the breaking up of OPEC, where a lot of them are breaking the rules and over pumping. OPEC is like an agreement to not pump. So they set only a certain number of barrels, but a lot of them are cheating. So there's more oil on the market. Yeah, the shale revolution was a big part of it. Some part of it is less demand. We're possibly entering or soft in a global economic slowdown / recession. That's not reflected in GDP numbers yet. And like that always leads to the oil price dropping. China has converted a ton of their big trucking industry into natural gas instead of diesel. That's a huge less demand. There's like a lot of reasons that go into that. I don't have all of them. You could read about this forever. I read a lot of Substacks on the oil industry that are really boring, to be honest. So I'm like half paying attention when I read them. But there's like a lot of reasons why oil prices are far lower than expected. It would be a really good time to refill Strategic Petroleum Reserve if Trump was thinking about doing that. I don't think he will. He doesn't seem like a long-term kind of guy, but it would be a great time to like spend some money and refill the oil reserve. I've recently been using less oil to cook when I cook to cut back on calories. So that was part of it. Hey, that's big of you. I knew there was a piece I was missing. I was like, wait, there's one. I'm like, yes, okay. China moving its diesel industry. Yes, fracking. Yes. What's that missing piece that is like 90% of why oil is down? And it was Thug Walrus's diet. Of course. Damn, you really shifted geopolitics. That was a big moment. I appreciate that. Thank you, Thug Walrus.